So welcome back, Radhika.
Hi, Asha. So we are off with our next topic for today's podcast, which is something which is topmost on every student's mind, especially since a news report came out that, some national boards are thinking of having two board exam series in one academic cycle. And I'm hearing the buzz from parents, students, teachers, administrators. What about you, Asha?
Yeah. So before I start with this, I want to welcome our viewers back to our show. And here's Radhika Srinivasan, principal twice over, with a long innings in teaching as well as managing a school and in school leadership space. And yes, Radhika, I leave it to you to introduce me.
Welcome, Asha, my partner in crime for this podcast series. And Asha and me go back some time back when we both were serving principals of schools. Asha has nearly 3.5 decades of experience in the school space with teaching, administration, supervision, principalship, and now she is an educational consultant offering her expertise to various educational groups.
Right.
So let's dive right into
The
today's
topic. Yeah.
podcast topic
So
of
very interesting. A national board has made an announcement in the news media talking about uh, double boards at standard 10 level, right? Now, standard 10, as we all know, is a secondary level in school education.
yes.
So the question here is, let me spell out a little more of the details. February 2026 is the first board exam proposed. Now, all this is proposed, right? We have to wait for the final plans to be out. Okay. But based on the media report, this board is eyeing two slots of examinations in standard 10. Uh, there will be double boards, as they want to call it, one in February 2026, and the second board exam will be in May or June 2026. Okay. Now, standard 10 children who are getting into standard, the students who are getting into standard 10 in the coming academic year will be the first ones to experience this double board examination,
So,
right? So let's talk about it to understand the various dimensions to this and how it is going to impact the student, the teachers, the schools, and the community at large, because it is going
parents,
parents, yes, and the community at large, because where is it taking us as a society? Where is this taking us? Because as we discussed in our earlier session, it's a huge boogeyman. A grade 10 examination, a grade 12 examination is something which is chasing our students, like a big demon on the backside. So let's look at it in all dimensions so that we understand clearly and we unpack all the elements of this situation for our students to see what are the benefits and what are the challenges and how these challenges can be overcome.
so first of all, Asha, a word of caution and a disclaimer that our discussion today is based only on media reports.
Yeah.
We will have to wait for official confirmations from the board officials and to see how the mechanism in which it is rolled out in schools across the nation. So, based on the assumption that the media report is correct and that this is actually going to be rolled out in the next academic cycle, so to say, I thought let's start first with our first stakeholder, that's the students. Let me state my pros and cons, and then perhaps we can, you can take over with the next stakeholder. For the students, I feel there are some pros and some cons. As always, when any policy is rolled out, we have to have a very non-biased lens to view it. So, for students, the pros would be that students could feel that there is some space and flexibility if there is a level of prep that they are assumed to have for the board exam, which is really a high stakes, and the first time that they are encountering a board exam. It would give them some flexibility and some space to maneuver. If their prep level is not so good in the first round of the cycles, they can, get better prep for the second cycle. Again, some students who are busy preparing for sports, there are some students who are training at a very, very competitive level, at a very advanced level of coaching, and they may have that flexibility to choose whichever exam cycle suits their sports training best. So in that way, this is definitely a pro, that they don't have to be bogged down, that if they don't have to be, caught between choosing intensive training camps versus the high stakes exams. The other pro is that they could space out their papers and take up different sets of papers at different times. If that is a mechanism that the board would allow, again, the disclaimer is that we don't know the exact mechanism. And perhaps then it might be considered to be uh, a little less a little less anxious time for students, where they feel that, oh, I do have a second chance. That was, the pros.
Yeah. So, Radhika, I agree with you when we say we have the flexibility to choose their preferred schedule. This is what comes along with that announcement. And they have the choice of appearing for both examinations, or they may choose one examination. Choose which one of the subjects they wish to appear, and then choose whether they want to do both. I think this is
Yes.
allowing them a lot of flexibility. A window for such exams is going to be very, very compact. Okay, 7 days, maybe 6 exams, 7 days, or over 8 days, it will happen. The first set of exam block of dates will be in the month of February, and the second is either April, May, or June. So it's about 7 to 8 days dedicated for examinations, right? It is in alignment with undergrad admission timelines. That is what is also mentioned. It is unlikely to be conducted before February, because if you were to look at a school term, say after 6 months or something, because of extreme weather conditions in some regions of the country, and also mitigate any kind of disasters, in these kind of things, right? It allows for accommodating such situations. And hence, it is timed in between of the first exam in Feb and the second exam in May or June. So these are the specifics of what is being announced. Now, definitely, there are advantages to the children, right? If we were to look at it, we can call it as reduced stress and pressure. On the other side, we call it double stress and double pressure. All right. We can discuss that. Improved learning outcomes, as is the promise for making such a move. Increased flexibility, as we just saw, and better preparedness of the student, as you kind of expounded in detail. However, let's look at the challenges now.
Yes. So, considering the the students, and considering a parental expectation, I would think that a typical Indian parent would say, I don't want you to miss either the February or the May series. I want you to do both. I'm thinking like a typical Indian parent. And I'm thinking that perhaps this is going to happen, that a parent may not give the choice to the students, to say to their children, to say that uh, it's okay, you can miss the Feb series and you can directly prepare for the May series. I feel that the parents would expect that the students should do both series, compare the marks, and then kind of choose which set of marks they are going to be
Paisa
going
vasool,
forward with.
paisa vasooli of the opportunities.
And which means that whatever pressures and whatever anxieties and stresses come with, it's a part and parcel of a high stakes exam, is going to become double for the students.
Yes.
That's my worry, that if you have butterflies in the stomach, that's uh, a very timid response, right up to panic attacks, which is an extreme response to exams, sleeplessness, weight loss, lack of appetite, or insomnia. So many things go along
It
with
should not
exam
be
stress.
well-intended exercise should not become counterproductive.
Yes,
Because it will depend on how it is being implemented across the country. That's very
yes,
important.
true, true.
Will it be an additional burden? Right? It will be an add-on burden to the system. There's an increased cost to running a board exam twice in a year. We saw that when we were had
Yes,
school during COVID, when we had the
yes,
exam in November and then we had the exam in March, Feb again. March and April again, right? And there are other
yes.
implementation challenges, significant resources and planning go into setting up these board exams. So we will have to see how all these can be managed to the advantage,
So,
right? Yeah.
true, true. So we've unpacked it for students, as in, weighing the pros and cons. Let's look at the school system or the school calendar. The school calendar is already very, very chock-a-block with events, with sports days, with work number of working days, number of internal exams and competitions. To add one more layer of complication by adding one more set of exams which are very high stakes, which require an entire exam machinery to work with, an entire range of invigilators, examiners, superintendents, supervisors, and a lot of school staff being deployed for running the exams smoothly.
So
And also,
very
many of the,
primary classes are kept shut, during the days that
yes,
we have
yes,
board exams.
yes, yes, because in schools which have a common structure for both primary and secondary exams, and if there are, 100, 200 plus candidates who are coming into your campus to take the
Board
exam,
exam space, it's not possible to run the school fully during those days. So,
those schedules are compromised for the lower grades. So that disruption is going to happen twice over. Also, in May, June, climatically, many states in India
very warm.
are very, very hot. And this is again going to be very stressful to school administrations. Many schools, rural areas, tier two cities, they barely have electricity. There are electricity outages, especially in May and June. So it would be really very difficult for students to take exams during those times.
Mm.
And I'm also going to, being a sustainability educator and being a sustainability champion, I'm really thinking of the implication on paper resources. The thousands of candidates taking the exams now,
Once again,
we are using so much of paper, and if it has to be doubled, then I just cannot imagine the mountain of trees and tree logs that and we need to be cut to generate such paper. And my mind actually, when I read this, my mind raced to that thought first, and it would be a huge amount of paper that we are going to use,
so
unless of course
yeah.
the implication and the implementation is in a digital mode. Maybe, I don't know.
No, as of now, what I understand is that there are MCQ based questions, number one, and there will be offline exams, which has been welcomed by the children. However, and also the attempt and what the intent is to make them more holistic, make the entire approach more holistic, more student centric, right? And reduce on rote learning, the emphasis on rote learning to be reduced, and high stake exams to dilute the fever over these high stake exams.
Fear,
Yeah,
exam fever, exam fear.
exam fever and all that. So intention wise, I think it is good, but implementation wise and monitoring is a huge challenge. Now, when you mentioned having exams twice a year, we cannot forget the class 12 exams are waiting to happen after February or mid-February. We start with the class 12 examinations. That takes its own set of 2 weeks of conducting examinations. So I think right from January, we would have prelims for the first board,
Yes,
then
yes.
first boards, then grade 12 boards, prelims for grade 12 boards, then grade 12 boards, then prelims for the June examination. and then the May June examinations. But
And there are some schools which have two prelims. So, I mean, then that means we're constantly only testing and evaluating, testing and evaluating. And maybe then teaching will become sidelined. I'm just thinking aloud.
correct, number of
Uh,
months is still 12 in a year, right? And even 12 months is inadequate in a school to conduct the
Absolutely.
rigmarole of events and activities and all those things which are packed into the school calendar. So taking away 5 months from that for board exams for a school, how practical is it for a school? I am sure the policymakers, the ones who have made this decision, have already vetted out all these points. Yet it is very interesting to start looking at it from the point of implementation for a school and its impact on students, right? Till we have more details.
how do you think, Asha, parents would react to this? Like if this was put in motion, and if the implementation was said,
And I
I already gave a little bit of context of thinking like a typical Indian parent. What is your opinion about?
when I read the article, I said, wow, I would do my exams in February and take off for a nice holiday and have time until June, because until June, some of the children are still going to do the examination. Had I been a student, I may have wanted this. Okay. But when I look at it from a parent's point of view, parents would say, yeah, let's capitalize on both the opportunity. Right? Let us cash in on the double opportunity that you have. You do this test set of exams, and then if you have not,
Do it all over again in May, and then we will decide based on.
very good prelim, a simulation, the first boards, and then your second boards could be, and then depends on good luck, whichever has helped you score better will be there in your mark sheet. But I don't know whether the maths of board 1 is higher and the science of board 2 is higher. So whether they will pick up the entire chunk for scoring,
Yes.
or whether they will take.
Yes, we will have to wait for details of how the implementation, whether you have to choose all OMA, one exam or the two, or can you pick and choose from both?
Choose the
The
better
exact implementation of the thing is not yet known, and perhaps then we have to wait for the details to pan out.
as a parent, I would also wonder why this is happening, right? Because see, looking at it from a parent, I think it is stress doubled, anxiety doubled.
Yes.
Number one, unless the child is very good, right? For an average student and for a below average student, this might have doubled the entire thing. It would not have halved the effort or halved the anxiety or stress levels. Although there is promise of support by stepping up remedial services and counseling services, and enabling children through toll-free numbers to connect with a counselor to talk about how to manage your exams, guidance during examinations, and time management. All these things have also been promised. Yet, I don't know, are we preparing the children rightly in the right direction? How much of stress will they be able to take is one question. And the next question is, you are spending almost 6 months. When do I complete the portion? The school will complete
Yes.
portion then by September. There is no second term, no? The first term, if I have to cram the portion in the first term, then evidently I am not doing justice to grade 9 portion.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. True.
Somewhere I am cramming the entire thing into 1.5 years.
So that we've stepped into the next stakeholder, which is the teacher. But one point I just wanted to mention for parents as stakeholders, we spoke about students as stakeholders in this, how this decision is going to impact. For parents, I feel that already parents are putting their lives on hold if one of their children is taking a board exams. And if you have to do it twice over. So, now during exam season, I see anxious parents dropping their children to the exam center, and some of them are really waiting out there for 3.5 hours in the sun, battling the elements. Some of them have just squatted down on the footpath. Some of them have found a place to sit under the shade of a tree. Some of them are in their parked vehicles, and this happens through one exam cycle. will they be able to sustain it through 2 exam cycles? I mean, will their jobs, their schedules, their younger children, everything kind of comes to a standstill when there is one board exam taker in the family. The entire family is in kind of a limbo. So I'm wondering that it would be huge pressure on everybody to do it twice over.
Is also, but if I had I had a child who's doing very, very well in academics, I would say take the first exam, do and die, and afterwards you can decide whether you want to, I mean, whether you want to improve your scores over the first
We also don't know, Asha, that will how soon will the results of the first exam be declared?
exam.
So
Right.
right now, the exam is happening in Feb,
Yep.
March, and the results are coming in May, June. So would you have the advantage of getting your results before you decide to sit on the next one?
How soon
At-
get your results?
Yes,
We will
yes,
decide that I want to do the next
yes,
one. I want to
yes.
better my.
So you have to give your commitment beforehand because you know the admit cards, the lists, and the centers, everything is decided months in advance.
In advance, right? And
So I'm not sure whether the student would have this leeway to wait until the results are declared before declaring themselves as candidates for the next exam series.
logistic challenge is huge, right?
Yes.
However,
Yes.
a digital format might help to simplify.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Then in that case, you know, my sustainability radar and my this thing is also green flag is also up that we're doing it digital. We're saving paper resources. So coming back to your point, Asha, about teachers as stakeholders in this exam process, um, uh, I I feel that it would be more stressful on teachers to go through this exam cycle twice, invigilation, examiners. So there is
Evaluate.
you know, that evaluation, frisking, the administration. There are so many roles that teachers play during an exam, and to ask them to do it twice over, and you know, May June is the vacation period for teachers. Are we going to? Is it going to eat away into their vacations? Are we going to be able to justify their working days versus the vacation days? These were also my thoughts.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think they're very, very valid points. I am sure all these points have been thought out about.
Yes.
I am waiting to see what are the specifics around all these points. So also an attendant worry here is it will lower the bar for students, uh, because when you have exams and the first 2, 3 years, when you're trying to put a practice in place, it may kind of to take away the stress from the entire thing. Probably the quality of the question paper may be kind of moderated more than required. Number one. And number two is we're talking of an MCQ. While MCQ is a very good format of questioning, how many schools are encouraging the children to develop your analytical and reasoning skills, right? Because we are largely a rote learning system, right? To be able to shift to an analytic, which is very interesting because we need to be analytical. We need to promote these skills in our children: reasoning, logical reasoning, analysis, critical thinking, critical analysis, and things like that. However, I do not know children in how many schools are ready for this kind of a format. It's a very, 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 very big question, and I think it's a very valid question.
So, you know, the entire exercise of creating these question papers, there is a board of studies, and there is a team of people that is intensely involved in creating these papers. I'm sure they go through the exercise diligently, and it almost takes 6 to 8 months to generate one set of question papers. So even that system is going to be taxed to another degree.
Correct.
And of course, though they will attempt to maintain parity between the Feb series and the May series. These comparisons will come up.
Correct.
That, oh, in the Feb series, this paper was easy.
Yeah.
In the May series, this paper was difficult. So how do you maintain parity?
Parity,
How do you
right.
ensure that the system is fair? How do you ensure that the difficulty level remains same, the evaluation level remains same, and so it's a very complex
Yeah.
situation.
Right now, what looks to be comes to my mind first is how it's going to be implemented and how it is going to be monitored across the country, right? Also, there are certain concerns about inequity and bias in grading practices. Will the children who have a certain the disadvantaged section of the children, will they have to bear the brunt of this kind of a new process in place, right? And also, what is the crucial thing? It should prioritize and promote quality education and student learning outcomes rather than just making an exam easier. So, what is the objective? Are you going to make the exam easier? In the process, are we going to kind of compromise on the quality of the learning outcomes? Or how are we raising the bar? How are we maintain the quality of education and the student learning outcome, higher learning outcomes versus making an exam easier?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at India's performance in PISA surveys, we are dismally low in those standards. So maybe that should be our goal. That let's not look at these internal national level exams, board exams, but rather as a national goal to achieve certain standards, and then pitch your exam and school system in such a way that we as a nation are achieving these standards, we globally benchmark standards.
Mm.
Maybe that would be the right way to go ahead. Of course, as we were, I mean, we are discussing. We don't know the exact details of how this implementation is going to happen. It we could be pleasantly surprised to know that it is a it's a digital exam which is proctored online, and there's going to be like digital centers where students will have to go
Yeah.
to the exam.
The
As
result,
soon as they come out,
yeah.
yes, the results will come out. They'll walk out with their results in hand. So then in that case, it gives them a peace of mind that do I need to attempt the next one? Should I skip the next one and prep for the competitive exams? Because the competitive exams will also be happening around that time. So there are a lot of nuances to this news report, and we'll have to really see how it pans out.
What's important to understand is, do we really need this? Okay. When at an age and time when we were talking about the pedagogical structure of NEP 2020, which said 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, why should now the last 4 years be a smooth transition from grade 10 to grade 11? Why do we have to want to have this business of a public examination at grade 10 level? If we can have it at the school level, maybe the board gives the question papers, but conduct these exams at the school level and let the schools take responsibility for promoting these children to grade 11, right? And there can be only one series of public examination at the end of grade 12. So the question here is whether we need this kind of an examination at all in grade 10. Then the second part of the question is, do we need double boards? Okay, that's questioning the very basis of this entire exercise. The second thing is it a bridge between the secondary school learning and the senior secondary school learning? Is it going to offer a bridge? Or is it just an exercise which is going to take away more of our time and effort and energy? And then when we go into grade 11, we are actually burnt out. When we really need to conserve ourselves, as students have to...
For the grade 12 exams and the
and
high stakes exam prep for the competitive exams.
Yeah, and that is also a very big signaling system, for the next level of education when you get into tertiary education. And how are they going to look at these children, and how, on what basis are these admissions happening? It's happening on how you have performed in the last 2 years, right? The grade 12 examinations or all the national level entrances and state level entrances.
Yes, yes.
Right. A lot of it hinges on their performance on these. Are we burning them out early for a necessary cause? So, but finally, when I look at it, I'm wondering, is it a progressive move? Details only when spelled out will tell us whether this, what is the direction in which this entire exercise is going to take the whole country. and whether really it is a progressive move. I'm waiting and
I think our learners in our class 9 and 10 already have enough opinions about this, and I hear the buzz, and it's interesting to see how they will interpret this. Some of them seem to really think that I've got two chances. Either I hit a 6 or I hit a 4. I mean, today is a match day, so cricket parlance here. So either if I hit a 4, I have one more chance to hit a 6. Or do I get bowled out?
Hold up.
That is also
That's
possible. Yeah, do I get bowled out completely clean bowled? Then I still have one more chance to come back and stand at the wicket with my bat. But sometimes, again, it's a very complex situation. The whole community kind of we had during our exam podcast, we kind of spelled it out of everyone has an opinion about what you should be doing when you are in grade 10 or grade 12, including the watchman.
pet
You know,
the country.
So then it might put too much pressure on them, and they might say, "Oh no, I thought one was enough, and I was over with. I can relax in the month of May, April and May.
Good, yeah.
But now, you've taken away my holidays too. You've taken away that time when in May when I would have traveled to meet up with family or cousins or friends. You've taken away my vacation, so to say."
So May June is prolonging the entire term, right? Prolonging
Yes.
the entire term by 2 months for people who are waiting to do the exam in May and June. Well, interesting. It's actually very, very interesting because there's a lot of thing out there in the suspense. Once we have clarity and once we run through one cycle of these double boards,
Yes,
then
yes.
we'll
That's when we will have more clarity. But I think we've kind of put it out there for people to think about whether this was progressive or regressive, whether this is necessary or unnecessary, whether all the stakeholders that we mentioned, students, parents, teachers, the exam systems, school heads and administrators. So as a school head, I'm kind of frozen during exam days. I don't schedule meetings. I don't schedule any other important thing because my main focus is to ensure that the exams are conducted in a free and fair manner. So again, I'm also thinking of my schedule that, how many days should I just freeze?
Over 5 months, right? Let's pick up something more interesting and another interesting topic for the next week, and we'll come
Sure.
again.
Sure.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.